of his location is in Holiday, Utah. He's not on a holiday, but he's in Holiday. All right. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Betts.
Present.
Councilmember Gardner.
Present.
Councilmember Pai.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez.
Here.
And Mayor Mattis.
Present. I don't see anybody in the audience for any public comments. No public comments.
That is correct.
All right, we'll move to the announcement of closed session. Madam City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of Council, we have 7 items on for closed session. First one is conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Property is 13700 Palm Drive in the city of Desert Hot Springs. The negotiators are Doria Wilms, Interim City Manager, and myself. Negotiating party of Doria Wilms and myself under negotiation on price and terms. Second one is conference with real property negotiators, same Government Code section. The property is APN 641262010. The agency negotiator is Doria Wilms and myself and Lynn Coker. Negotiating parties are Nancy Portalesi, and the under negotiation are the price and terms. The number 3 is conference with real property negotiators pursuant to the same subsection of Government Code. APN is 642-081-003 and 4. Agency negotiators are Doria Wilms and myself. Negotiating parties are Howard Koenig, and under negotiation are price and terms. Number 4, conference with real property negotiators. Again, same code section, APN 642-150-003 and 642-150-018. Agency negotiator is Doria Wilms and myself. Negotiating parties are Buena Vista Development, and under negotiation are the price and terms. Number 5 is, again, conference with real property negotiators, same Government Code section, property APN 642-281-008. Doria Wilms is the agency negotiator as well as myself. Negotiating parties are Talat Radwin. Under negotiation are price and terms. Number 6 is conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code section 54956.9D1. Name of the case is it's in Ray 66220 First Street, Desert Hot Springs, California. The case is in Riverside Superior Court, case number CVR1I22044747. Lastly is conference with labor negotiators, Government Code section 54957.6, and represented employees, the city manager.
Let me request to speak here.
You need a request to speak? Go ahead.
Yes, on item number 6, the zip code is wrong, 92260 it says. That is it.
Thank you very much. It's noted 4-0.
Thank you very much. With that said, we'll recess the closed session. All right, good evening, everybody. All right, so we have a couple presentations tonight. First presentation is going to be some employee recognitions, and I'm going to have Clyde, you're going to join me up here. Thomas is our HR manager, and he's going to help give out these certificates for years of service. We first want to say thank you, especially to all of you for coming in. If you're here for the employee recognition, the City of Desert Hot Springs, on behalf of the City Council, you guys are the backbone to everything that we do here. You're behind the scenes for the most part. We get to handle all the political stuff, but you get to handle the day-to-day operations. And for some of you tonight, for the service length of time that you've committed to our city, I can't say thank you enough. So I'm going to let Clyde join us and hand these out. Each of the certificates are on behalf of the mayor and the city council, and it has the years of recognition for your service to the city of Desert Hot Springs. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, distinguished members of the council and leadership. This is the favorite, one of my favorite times of the year, the employee recognition, recognizing you for all your hard work over the period of time. Being here just 8 months, but knowing that you guys have been through old City Hall, new City Hall, and COVID is something to stand up and be appreciated for in and of itself. So Thank you for all your service these last 5, some 10, and some 15 years. I'm going to call your name. You're going to come up and get a pen and a certificate. And I ask that we hold applause until the end because we have time constraints. And then at the end, I'm personally going to give you a standing ovation. So without further ado,
Please stand up here and stay up here while we recognize everybody, and we'll get a group shot after.
Thank you. Without further ado, we'll start with Mr. Glenn White for 15 years. Here you go, sir. Next, we have Caleb LeVay. 15 years, sorry about that. And now we're going to go to the 10-year group. So it might take us a while, but we have one, James Bradley. And then we have the big group, the 5-year group, starting with our leader, other than the mayor, City Manager Doria Wilms. Next, we have Mr. Daniel McVeigh. Thank you. Jason Kupka. Thank you. Oh, I didn't do it. Okay. Miss Lynn Paul. Or Mrs. Lynn Paul. Christina Newsom. Roberta Cernick. Okay. Flo Smith.
Smile, Flo, it's okay.
Oh. Thank you.
Why did Chief leave when you announced your name?
Melissa Purcell. Thank you. Tyler Messer. Thank you so much. Good seeing you. Emily Granados. Thank you. Kat Palmer. Jason Jimenez. Christopher James. Timothy Barnes. Craig. Clarissa Vera. And it's ironic that the last person on the list was the first person who came up to me to ask me were we going to have an employee recognition this year. Effective January 1, she was always pointing to the lanyard saying, I want my 5-year pin. So last but not least, Patricia Villa Gomez. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's our class of 2023.
And again, when you have this many receiving service awards for years of service, 5, 10, and 15, you see the dedication to the city of Desert Hot Springs. Thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you. Can I get a picture? Someone took it. There was one sitting right here.
We're missing something. Clyde?
Clyde, where'd you go? He was like, I'm done. I'm off the clock. Give us 1 second. We have one more recognition that we need to make. Nobody leave, please. Patricia just scared him so much that he wanted to get in and out as quick as possible. And in most cities, when you give 5, 10, or 15-year award, you get maybe a clock or a nice watch. We've got recycle buckets over here for each and every one of you to take home and help us with our state requirements. Lynn, you know, and, yes, she's make sure each of you get one.
They probably each have 10 right now.
I thought he would have jumped in the picture. He literally just. Did we find it? We have one more recognition tonight that we'd like to make. Doria is going to give a little more background on this, but we want to really say thank you to one of our city employees for all the work they did for us on a project here. I'm not going to give it away. I want Doria to say a few words, and then she'll announce that person.
Thank you, Mayor Mattis. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, staff, and residents. Over the last couple of months, the city here has been working very hard on the piece of art across the street that we celebrated just a week or two ago with the unveiling. And she's already shaking her head at me. But, you know, here at City Hall, we have...
So wait, before you go any further, since she's shaking her head, Vivian, why don't you join
Come
us
on
up here real
Vivian.
quick?
So here at City Hall, you'll always hear us say that we do not operate City Hall as usual, and we really try to embody that in everything that we do. So Vivian's job here at the City of Desert Hot Springs is a counter permit technician, and she is one of the first faces that our residents and our developers see when they come into City Hall every single day. But in typical fashion, like all of our employees, Vivian has stepped up and gone above and beyond in her duties. She actually has a passion for art, and very early on in her career here, she was coming and talking with Danny and I and many of the other employees about how she wanted to really make an impact with art in our community. And so she had personal connections to Casey, who also, and to the artist Trav, and she was an integral component of putting those connections in place to bring Trav to our community and get this art done in our community. And we couldn't be more proud and grateful for what she's done. So, Vivian, you are an exemplary community leader who has demonstrated remarkable dedication to the City of Desert Hot Springs through your involvement with the Art in Public Places group. Thank you for your vision and hard work. The City of Desert Hot Springs now has a beautiful and inspiring public art installation that showcases the creativity and diversity of its people. Thank you. That was the most awkward handout ever. Do you want to say something? You need to say something.
Vivian loves to public speak, so we're going to give her the mic now.
Thank you, Doria.
Scott. If you guys have known me long enough to know that art is a passion, public art is a passion of mine. All I really wanted was to have something bright and colorful to look at driving up Palm on my way to work. And I think we got that, not just for me, but for as a community as a whole. I do believe public art does change a community. So I'm excited to have this happen, and I can't wait to see more happen over the years to come and really establish and define our downtown as an arts and cultural district. So it's not just me. Lynn said it really well a couple weeks ago. It takes a village, and let me tell you, it does. And I could not have picked a better village to be able to do that with. So thank you. Thank you.
So that's all the presentations we have tonight. Maybe we can get Trav to decorate the buckets, and bet you they'd all take one then, wouldn't they? So thank you to each and every one for everything you do. Take the rest of the night off, except for you guys.
The Mayor and City Council welcome you to the Desert Hot Springs City Council meeting. As a courtesy to others, please silence all phones. Please complete a speaker request form, which can be found to the left of the entrance to the City Council chambers, if you would like to address the City Council on a non-agenda item. If you would like to comment on an agenda item, a speaker request form is not required. Public comments will be heard during the agenda item. Please submit the completed speaker request form to the city clerk seated to the left of the speaker podium. All speakers will have 3 minutes to complete their comments. A countdown timer will appear on the screens located around the council chambers. All comments are to be directed to the City Council and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum. Due to the Brown Act, which is California's open meeting laws, only items listed on the agenda can be addressed by the City Council. The City Council is unable to respond to matters raised on non-agenda items. However, please be aware that your comments will be noted. The speaker's name will be called to speak at the appropriate time in the order that the forms are received. Thank you for your interest and participation in the Desert Hot Springs City Council meeting.
Councilmember Gardner, just testing. Can you hear us? Why don't you go ahead and test your mic real quick?
Good evening, everybody.
Perfect. We can hear you. You can hear us. It is 6 p.m. and I'm going to call to order the City of Desert Hot Springs regular meeting of the City Council, and the City Council serving as a successor agency to the former Redevelopment Agency Board for Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. This is our 6 p.m. regular session. I also wanted to notify everybody that Mr. Gardner is in Holiday, Utah. He has met the posting requirements, and so he will be virtual tonight. With that said, roll call, please.
Councilmember Betts?
Present.
Councilmember Gardner?
Present.
Councilmember Pai?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez?
Here.
And Mayor Mattis?
Present.
Thank you.
And next, we are going to have our invocation tonight by Candace Tarrant, and she's the minister for the Covenant Church here in Desert Hot Springs. Welcome.
Thank you. If we can bow our head and close our eyes. Lord God, we thank you for this opportunity to better the city and community. We do pray that all the great ideas for the progress and the success of our community is brought to our council members, and we do thank you for all the effort and the time that they have put in thus far, and bless their lives just for that. And we bless you for forward progress always. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Mr. Betts, would you lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance today?
Please stand, place your hand over your heart, and join me in saluting our nation's flag. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty
Before we go through the exercise of approving the agenda, we do need to note one thing. Item number 9, which is an appeal, APP 23-1 of the Planning Commission's decision to approve a mitigated negative declaration and development permit number 22-4, an application to develop a 60,000 square foot warehouse facility. The applicant has removed their appeal. So that item will not need to be heard tonight. If we can approve that to be pulled off the agenda when a motion is made, and also I'll be moving item 12 to the first item after after the council member comments for staff reasons, and pursuant to, the council will be approving the consent calendar also. And is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on any items on the consent calendar tonight? See nobody coming forth, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, motion to approve the agenda, removing item 9 and moving item 12 up to be taken as administratively before item 10?
Right after mayor and council member comments.
Okay, right.
I'll
And
second.
approving consent.
I will second, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any more comments or questions? Please vote.
Mr. Mayor, roll call vote.
I'm sorry, we're going to be a roll call vote tonight too, because we do have somebody virtually. Go ahead.
Councilmember Betts,
Present, or yes?
Councilmember Gardner,
Aye.
Councilmember Pai,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez,
Second, and aye.
and Mayor Mattis.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
We'll move to public comments. At this time, pursuant to the Brown Act, any person may comment on matters of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council not listed on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the city council shall not take action on or discuss matters raised during public comment portion of the agenda that are not listed on the agenda. All comments are to be directed to the city council and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments. Our first comment tonight will be given by Mr. Moen.
Good evening. Tom Moen, 44-year resident, Desert Hot Springs. I certainly appreciate the reprieve from the hot weather we've had these last few days, although I don't think our council has any jurisdiction over the weather. I'd like to comment how nice our city is looking. I'd also like to comment on a personal achievement. This Saturday, my wife and I will celebrate our 39th wedding anniversary. Now I'll go into the past and dig up my comments on the statue that I've been asking to be built at Pursuant Boulevard and Highway 62, like a 30 or 40 foot statue of Cabot Yerxa leading his mule Merry Christmas. I think that that could be a great attraction to get people to make a turn onto Pursuant Boulevard from Highway 62. And if that can be built before we get a stoplight there, I think that can be a safety factor because people will be paying attention. I'd really like to see that happen. And we have a commercial artist that lives right here in Desert Hot Springs. His name is Dan Redmond. He told me he would be happy to build that statue. He's made many statues for military bases, universities. We have him right here in Desert Hot Springs. Dan Redmond. I'd also like to commend our city council for your hard work. You have many hours of study. You have a 1,000-page packet to look through before the council meeting. and you have a lot of people wanting to use your time. I just want to say thank you for your efforts in our city.
Thank you, Mr. Moen. Congratulations to you and your wife. Ms. Valadez.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and guests, residents. I'm here once again to address the unsightly RV that is parked in front of the homeowner who is operating a mechanic shop out of his home. I am not opposed to him trying to support his livelihood. However, I understand that there is a code that restricts residents from operating a mechanic shop from their residence. This homeowner is flying under the radar by now parking several vehicles, including the RV, in the empty lot across the street from his residence. Does this empty lot belong to him? I have sent many emails. I've also made many phone calls. Personally, I'm doing all that I can to support a nice-looking neighborhood, but the lack of attention that I'm bringing to code enforcement seems to be falling on deaf ears. I would appreciate any correspondence or phone calls on how this matter might find a reasonable timeline resolution. My initial objection was called into code enforcement at least 2 months ago. Recently, I sent an email on a Sunday, of course, also on Friday the 28th, a call on Monday, April 24th, a call transferred to code compliance and left a detailed message on Monday, March the 6th. Another call on February 8th, emails to Christina Newsom, and I would really appreciate something being done. I take pride in my neighborhood, my block. I came from West Covina, and when you live in a condominium, that code enforcement is like really strict. Christmas lights have to come down by like January 1, and so I came from a very strict environment, and I would really appreciate someone paying attention to this. Again, he seems to be navigating very conspicuously, I feel, because again, since February 8th. So I would really appreciate something being done. And lastly, I just want to say, go Lakers tonight.
Thank you very much. Ms. Dawson. Last speaker card I have, if you would like to speak, there are blue cards back there, or city clerk, please.
Mr. Mayor and City Council members, my name's Juliana Dawson. I'm currently a trustee at the Elks Lodge here in Desert Hot Springs, and I reside in Desert Hot Springs. And I'm here with some fellow Elks. Our purpose tonight is to request a sponsorship for our 28th annual charity golf tournament, which is going to take place on May 20th. The money that we earn from this golf tournament allows us to donate to many of our youth groups here in Desert Hot Springs, such as football, Little League, soccer, and we also donate money to the Junior ROTC. During the year, we pass out backpacks and school supplies to students here in Desert Hot Springs. We also support veterans by purchasing supplies for them and supporting the veterans home here in Desert Hot Springs. So the money that is made in this golf tournament stays in this city. And I would also like to invite anyone that would like to play in the tournament. I brought some applications, which I'll leave over there if you'd like to play. The other thing that we do is we bring down 15 to 20, 25 Marines and Navy personnel from 29 Palms, and we host them for the golf and for lunch, and they have a wonderful day, and they don't pay for anything. So it's a way to support our troops. We appreciate your support in the past, and we hope that we can count on your support again this year. I thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, and I got everything right here, and I'll give it to the city manager. Would anybody else like to speak in public comments tonight? I see nobody coming forth. I'll close public comments and we'll move to city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'll first ask Jeffrey Buckheim, our Administrative Services Director, to provide a financial highlight update.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. As of April 30th, 2023, our General Fund and Public Safety Fund for fiscal year 22-23, the revenues have been over $18.7 million, which is 56% of the budget. Last year at this time, the revenues were $20.2 million, which was 55% of the budget. That included a $1.7 million transfer from the ARPA funds. And 2 years ago, the revenues were $16.3 million, which was at 64% of that year's budget. For expenditures this fiscal year, we're at over $21.5 million, which is 64% of the budget. Last year at this time, we were at $22.4 million, which was 69% of the budget. And 2 years ago, we were at over $19 million, which was 70% of the budget.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Next, I'd like Nick Hager, our Public Works Director, to provide some Public Works updates.
Good evening. This update's for the Palm Drive North project. Staff met with the contractor today to approve the CAT tracking. The contractor was scheduled to do the striping today, but the striping machine had issues. The contractor will get back to us on a revised schedule as soon as possible.
Thank you.
All right, move to Mayor and council member comments.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if I may, would you like me to report on the closed session now or a
No,
little
I was just going to skip over it tonight. Sorry. Please.
Thank you very much. We do have one reportable action item tonight. That is on item number 2 with an APN of 641-262-010. The city is entering into a purchase and sale agreement with Lana Lieberman for the purchase of that property for $575,000. It was a 5-0 vote at the city council. And with that, that concludes my reportable action, and we'll make sure to have this purchase and sale agreement available for the public. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're now going to move to mayor and council member comments. I'll start with Ms. Pye tonight.
Okay, I met with Assemblyman Greg Wallace, and I met with Doria Wilms and Daniel Porras, and we spoke about illegal cannabis and shared with him what our thoughts were and asked him what we could do for him as well. We also discussed fentanyl. Help me.
Fentanyl.
Thank you. Somebody got it. Thank you. We also met with the Department of Cannabis Control, and we spoke to them about the same thing. With us was Danny Porras, Doria Wilms, and Christina Newsom. And it was good that we met with them because one of the things we found out, there were things that we could utilize that we didn't know we could utilize. In my conversation with the different legislators, I always tell them that they talk to our staff. They don't talk to me. They don't want my attitude, and that they need to talk to staff, and I communicate with staff, and that's how we do it. The Women's Club had an installation today. Rather than go through all of the names, I will tell you that Josie Rizzo is still has been re-elected as the president of the Desert Hot Springs Women's Club. Also attended the Valley Business Conference, which was hosted by Supervisor Perez, and attended that with Sean Smith and Eric B. I can never say his last name, so that's it. On May 5, the DHS 23rd Annual Cadet Awards and promotion ceremony will happen. It's at 5:30 on Friday, and it's in the gym. And whether you have a child in the military or not, it is worth attending. They do a drill team, and they haven't done that for several years, and it's awesome. On May 4th, the Braille Institute is having an open house. and they are going to be talking about lighting, magnification services, audiobook, assistant technology, and they're going to give an update on their programs for this year. And he's going to do the rest. That's it.
Mr. Nunez, Mayor Pro Tem Nunez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay. Just met with a few residents from Rancho de Oro, the community I live in. Went over some of the topics that's been affecting us. Street racing was again on the topic. I did tell them that me and the mayor are supposed to meet and see what we can put together, and maybe we can meet with them and see what ideas we can come up with, because that's, I guess, not only in our community but in other communities too. It's becoming a problem where not only racing but doing donuts in the middle of the street and whatnot. So I think it's a attention that needs to be talked about, and maybe we can put our minds together to see what we can come up with. The other topics they had were, of course, the short-term rentals over the weekend festivals that we've had. I think there was a lot of complaints in our neighborhood, so that's going to be a hot topic to come up in the next coming months. Another topic was, of course, the retention basin, when we're going to get that going as far as a mini park or some kind of park, and see what we can do. So those are topics this is the first time I've met with this committee, some of the members, and I just say that they gave me a lot of history, and it was kind of overwhelming to hear that history, and I'm pretty sure Mayor and Mr. Councilman Betts knows a lot more than I do, so we have a lot of catching up to do there. I attended the Rotary's Big Heart Awards. That was my first attendance there since I've been elected, and I can say that it's great to see a lot of people a lot of great people being awarded some awards that truly believe that in the community that they need to be recognized. So I really do appreciate being invited and being a part of that ceremony. Met online, a Zoom call with one of our developers, cannabis developers, and this is my first time meeting with him to talk about some of the issues that he has, and some of the issues that the city's been having on our end. So I just wanted to put voice to that. Attended the art installation here right behind me, which was, I can't say enough that I'm very proud of seeing that go up and seeing the attendance of people that attended that, and I'm hoping that we can continue this and continue the momentum, seeing our city grow in a positive direction. So I really do appreciate that. Lastly, me and the city staff, the deputy city manager, and our city manager met with the City of Palm Springs city manager and the Palm Springs mayor, along with Councilwoman Jan Pai, to talk about some of the issues of homelessness and making sure that we can collaborate with each other, that we're not stepping over each other's toes when it comes to homelessness and what kind of services. And anything you want to add, I'd be more than happy to get your input. But this is a first of many meetings we agreed to have. I think we're also going to try to include the city of Cathedral City in those meetings to see what we can do to really tackle the issue of homelessness in not only our city, but in the West Valley. So that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Betts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, with Coachella, Stagecoach, and going on the vacation rentals, I've had the calls on the vacation rentals also. When are we bringing that to staff, to the council?
It's going to be at the next council meeting.
Okay, so at the next council meeting, we'll be taking that up. Okay, good. The small item, but we've done so well on controlling graffiti in our town. In fact, you go to other cities and you notice it is shocking because comparatively here we don't have it. But I notice the construction crews every once in a while will bring one of the signs with them. They're probably working in another city. The sign got tagged and they put it up. And maybe this is a little too nuanced, but if we can make sure that they know when they come into our city that don't be putting a sign up that's got graffiti on it, and we don't want it here. So we've just done such a good job with controlling that. Attended the Big Heart Awards. It was nice to see the awards there, particularly our city employee Tyler and code enforcement. Everybody says when the code officer shows up at the door, nobody wants to see him. which, well, the person who he's going to knock on their door doesn't want to see him, but I think we got to remember that the neighbors that are putting up with the problem house do want to see him. So Tyler, take your encouragement from the silent majority out there, and so it was nice to see that. Attended the Sunlight Ad Hoc Committee. We're still searching for a new general manager, and everything else there was pretty uneventful. They did, well, I guess we did get a labor contract, so that's a big deal. They'd been negotiating for quite a while on that one, so that's always good news that the drivers and other represented employees are now operating under a new contract, so that's good. The mural unveiling, or the building colors, were great. It was really nice to hear I forget, what's her name? Vivian. You know, she had great talk here at the public comments before, and you know, there was a time when the city color palette was beige and light beige, and so it's nice to see a little bit of color being interjected into our city, and well, that's a lot of color, but it looks nice. Attended the celebration of life for Ron Gilbert. I'm not sure how many people are aware of him, but he was quite a fixture here, and you could count on him to be at every meeting. He received Citizen of the Year award at times, and the just fantastic job of paying close attention to government. It's nice to see all of you out here watching us too. But it was a nice ceremony up at Cabot's Pueblo Museum, and so just yeah, we see each other every day, and we don't realize that all of us have some life that we've been through, you know, before we got here. And it's just interesting and sad, I guess, because, you know, funerals tend to bring people together, and you wonder why didn't we get together sooner. But anyhow, it was a nice ceremony. Coming up, I have the SCAG annual conference. Not only do I sit on transportation, but I'm representing the city as our delegate. SCAG is 6 counties in Southern California that get together and deal with the regional issues. On the street racing, I don't know how you could, you know, it's just every night. And the biggest problem is the donuts. And I don't know if this will work with engineering, but one thing I've seen done in other cities is it's not much of a median, but it's enough of a median that if somebody tries to do a donut, it will basically damage their car. Regular traffic doesn't have any problem with it, but if you hit it sideways, so maybe I've seen that done in other cities, maybe staff could look at that. And then last thing is we had a public speaker here regarding a code enforcement action that they're trying to get going. And they said it's been since February, and I don't think it's, you know, what a lot of people don't realize, and when I get the calls and talk to them, I always explain to them is that this is not an instant process. People have property rights in this country, and as much as code would like to go in with an obvious violation and just take their personal property and move it off, that's just not the way the process works. And code is a very difficult job, and they're doing the best they can, but everybody's got to have patience on that one. And but if you have any issues with that, you know, if you're not comfortable calling it in, you can always contact a council member. I'm sure all of us get those complaints from time to time, and we're happy to pass those along. Seeing if I missed anything. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Greetings from my hometown of Holiday, Utah. But when I was a kid, it was unincorporated Salt Lake County. I'm sorry that I didn't, I guess I brought the weather from down there up here, because right now it's warmer here than it is there by about 10 degrees. So it's interesting to see the switch in weather. Just a couple of quick updates. Along with the rest of the council, we went to the Big Heart Awards as well as the art unveiling. That art unveiling was absolutely spectacular, and it was great to see everybody out. But what is even more spectacular is the view of it at night. The lights they have on it just make it pop out, and it's really something to see if you haven't yet. It was great to see from remotely up here the employee recognitions that we gave to our longtime employees. We do have a truly wonderful staff here at the city, and you all make us very proud, and congratulations to everybody that got an award for their longevity at the city today. It was sad to see the passing of yet another longtime DHS resident. Buzz Knight passed away the other day at age 90. Buzz and his wife Jackie could always be found at a lot of our community events, and he will be missed. And I was sad as well to miss the memorial for Ron Gilbert. I did see a number of great pictures. Looked like a nice turnout and a fun event. And I really want to thank my good friend Jeff Bowman for organizing it and for reading my remarks that I had to submit remotely. Another longtime resident will be greatly missed. That's all I've got, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll be short tonight also. I was able to speak to the Palm Springs Realtors every year about this time. 3 different realtor groups kind of get together, and they have me come and speak in over a month period of time. And so this last week was the Palm Springs or the week before was the Palm Springs Realtors. I gave them an update on Desert Hot Springs, where we're at, and how we can that we can all work together in making Desert Hot Springs a better place, and how they can sell Desert Hot Springs. So it was good. Attended the mural block party. Very thrilled about that. We obviously gave some recognition to one of our employees tonight, Vivian, for her coordination of this artist and bringing art as they did to our community. The building's fantastic the way it stands out now, so we're really happy about that. I do need to report out that a plane ticket was bought for me to go to Washington, D.C., and unfortunately they canceled our flight. I will not be able to attend, but the city staff will be attending Washington, D.C. next week for the lobbying reasons, and they'll be taking, I think the police chief's going to go in my stead, so you've got small shoes to fill. Attended the Big Heart Awards, and it's just always heartwarming to see all of the volunteers in our community, the educators, and everyone that gets awards in our community for the services that they're providing to us in this community. The Rotary Club of Desert Hot Springs allows me as the mayor to give an award to a community member this year. I gave one to Dr. Jason Moore for his service to our youth sports organizations. And then, as mentioned by one of the council members up here, I think it was Mr. Gardner, not up here, out there. Before this meeting, if you're just tuning in or you're just coming in, we gave service awards to our 5, 10, and 15-year employees for their service to our community, and recognition for their service to the employment here. And it was just, it's great to see how many employees we have that are spending longevity and spending their time working for our city. So again, they are the backbone to our operation. We get to make the policies from 30,000-foot view, but all of you that work here, thank you for all the hard work you put in. That is all I have tonight. We are going to move to the administrative calendar as stated in the beginning of the meeting. We're going to move item 12 to the front of the meeting. Item 12 is the increased budget appropriations for property abatements. Mr. Buckheim?
It will actually be Miss Newsom.
Ms. Newsom?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. So the item before you tonight is an increased budget appropriations for property abatements. To provide some background, every fiscal year, the city budgets monies to the Code Compliance Division to abate public nuisances. And this year, the Code Compliance Division conducted an unusually large number of abatements, very large scale, consisting of majority demolitions. These abatements were urgent due to health and safety concerns. The cost for these abatements exceeds the money budgeted for abatement in fiscal year 22-23 and is too large to be absorbed into the fiscal year's budget. So briefly, I wanted to provide highlight a few of these properties and these abatements. This is a hotel that the Code Compliance Division has had a case opened at since the year 2017. It is a fire damaged, large-scale hotel consisting of over 100 rooms. The property was red tagged for several years after numerous health and safety code violations. The city received a warrant to abate and is in the process of demolition. These are before photos. And this is currently the active abatement. The next is a property surrounding the Sahara Hotel. This is also a hotel case opened in 2017 with a demolition that has just been completed. This is also an adjacent property to the Sahara owned by the same owner. A hotel case opened in 2017. Demolition is currently active and will be completed in the following weeks. This property is a severely fire damaged hotel, 68165 Club Circle. As far back as I can tell, this property has been vacant and abandoned since approximately 2012. And the city received a warrant to abate and has currently completed the demolition. This is the adjacent detached garage, different owner, and the city has also obtained an abatement warrant for this property, and the demolition is complete. So to summarize, code compliance has completed or will complete approximately 11 large-scale abatements in this fiscal year, and the total estimated cost for those abatements is $1,849,387. Staff's recommendation is to increase budget appropriations in the Public Safety Fund by $1,800,000, that's a large number, sorry, $849,387 to cover the cost of the property abatements, and 2, authorize the use of the general fund balance to transfer $1,849,387 to the Public Safety Fund to cover the increased budget appropriations. And if I may, just very quickly, I'd like to publicly thank the code compliance staff who's all in the audience tonight. These cases have spanned over 7 years, the majority of them, and this is the product of countless citations, demands for payment, notices, inspections, overseeing demolition year after year after year, and the majority of what code compliance does is typically scrutinized by way of action or inaction by the public, and it's a very difficult job, and so they don't typically get publicly thanked, and I just wanted to take a second to thank them all. Thank you. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Christina. Also, to jump on that, I want to say thank you to all of you. We were able to celebrate Tyler at the Big Heart Awards and say thank you for your service and as an employee. But to all the code enforcement staff, it's truly a thankless job for the most part. The only reason that you show up a lot of times is because something bad is happening at that property. So you put up with a lot, and we appreciate each and every one of you and what you do for our community. So thank you. With that said, I'm going to move to any public comments on this item before I move to council member comments and questions. Would anybody like to speak to this item? If so, please come forth now. See nobody coming forth, we'll close public comments and I'll move to council member comments. We do have a queue for you to put in if you have any requests. We're going to give it a shot tonight, see if it works. I'm not seeing anything. Hold on, maybe I need to start meeting. No, that wasn't it. Anyways, I'll start with Mr. Betts. I know he has to speak. Oh, is he? Mine isn't showing on the screen, Gerald. So, Mr.
I just had a question for Christina. Christina, with the cost of everything, the 1.8 million, those are costs that we can recoup from the applicants, correct? And over time, or is this something that's going to take a process also?
So all of the costs will be assessed to the respective property taxes, and then payment of those taxes will cover those costs.
Just want to say thank you. I know 7 years of code intervention with these properties is a very long time, and I'm shocked that, I'm sorry that we have to go through this long process, so I do apologize, but thank you for all your hard work and your dedication. Thank you.
Mr. Gardner, you're in the queue next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. But Mr. Nunez asked the question I was going to ask, and that's about recouping the costs, and that they'll be back on the property tax assessment. So we will eventually recover those costs. It may take a while, but when that property eventually sells or the owner pays their property taxes, we'll recover all of that, which is great news. So it isn't out of our bottom line long-term. And I'll just echo the comments from Mr. Nunez and you as well, Mr. Mayor, that fantastic job by our code compliance staff. I know it's taken a lot of hard work, and our city attorney as well for taking on the legal burden of getting court orders to be able to order these abatements. It's just the start. I hope it's just the start. There's a lot of properties that need abatement, and I would love to see this continue further and at a much more aggressive pace if we possibly can. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Mr. Betts?
Yeah, I'll echo those comments for sure. When people realize that you've got to go through this court process, you just can't go out there and do this. And I know I heard from one of the other spa owners on Club Circle. He says, come over here and take a look at this. This thing's just sitting here. And so it is really nice to see that blighted building has been taken care of. And across from the Sahara, you go talk to those residents there, and they say, man, I tell you, when's this nightmare going to end? And you just think to yourself, if that's across the street from your house and all that's going on and the problems that have been there. So I know it's a difficult job, but every time you see progress like this, your staff needs to know that they're getting something done and making a big difference in this city. And it's really nice to hear that this 1.8 million, which is a big ticket item, is going to get eventually recovered. So I'm all in favor of this one. We have to vote to approve this, Mr. Mayor. If so, I'll make a motion.
We do. There's two recommendations on there, if you want to make a motion to those.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, number one, increase the budget appropriation in the Public Safety Fund by $1,849,387 to cover the cost of property abatements, and two, authorize the use of general fund balance to transfer $1,849,387 to the Public Safety Fund to cover the increased budget appropriations.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion by Mr. Betts, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Betts?
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner?
Aye.
Councilmember Pai?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez?
Aye.
Mayor Mattis?
Aye.
Motion
And
passes
I
unanimously.
have a comment, but I can't push it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You yell at me or throw something at me next time for sure.
My comment is back to what you were saying about staff. We do make policy comments, and we did talk about you, but I think you are owed an applause. Thank you.
One of the city clerks, would you come and check Jen's? I think hers might have the same.
No. When the motion was there, I couldn't see it.
Oh, okay. Got it. Perfect.
Okay.
We're just working out some bugs there. All right, we're going to move back to public hearings. Item number 8 is an ordinance amending cannabis storefront retail businesses hours. Ms. Newsom.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. So Chapter 5.50 of the Desert Hot Springs Municipal Code provides the regulatory framework for the operation of cannabis facilities, including the hours of operation. Section 5.50.080L of the DHSMC currently limits the hours of operation of storefront retail cannabis facilities and non-storefront retail cannabis facilities to the hours of 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. The proposed ordinance seeks to amend Chapter 550 and Chapter 17 to update operating hours to match that of state regulations for all retail cannabis facilities from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days per week. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Do we have any direct questions to staff before I open the public hearing?
This is mirroring state regulations, and it's not yet following the hours for liquor stores, correct?
Correct. So we brought the other uses before you, I believe in the month of March. And so you asked that we do the same with the storefront retail hours, and that's what's before you tonight so that we can match state across the board.
Okay, but the state's not allowing 2 a.m. for close?
No,
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? And Gerald, when you get a chance, I need you to run up here. I pushed the wrong button here somewhere.
Yeah, I'm in the queue, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Christina, so when the state does do amendments to their rules, how fast are we to react to that? And do we get that right away, or what's the process of that?
So it depends on what the amendment is, whether or not we want to match it, whether or not, we are deciding to be more stringent, or if it's not something that would align with the vision of the city. But when that happens, we can bring an item forward immediately if we'd like to match state regulations.
Very well, thank you.
Mr. Gardner? No, I'm showing him pending for this item, but, all right, maybe we'll figure it out as we go. All right, Ms. Pye, you had nothing? Okay, so we now we'll open the public hearing and take any testimony in favor, opposed, or neutral position. Anyone? See nobody coming forth. We will close the public hearing this time, and I'll have any more city council discussion, or we'll move to a motion.
Motion to approve if there's no one else.
Yep, I don't have anybody else in the queue, it looks like, so you're going to move the introduction of the first reading?
Introduction of first reading, adjusting the hours from start times from 8 a.m. to 6 a.m.
I'm just waiting for it to be, do you still want it moved on the screen? Okay. And second it?
Second.
All right, it's seconded by Councilmember Gardner. And roll call, please.
Councilmember Betts?
Aye.
Councilmember Gardner?
Aye.
Councilmember Pye? Mayor Pro Tem Nunez?
Aye.
And Mayor Mattis?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. This is a first reading of an ordinance of the City Council, the City of Desert Hot Springs, amending Section 5.50.080, General Operating Requirements of Chapter 5.50, Cannabis Businesses of Title V, Business Licenses and Regulations, and amending Section 17.180.040, Marijuana Storefront Retail Facilities, 17.180.05, Marijuana Non-Storefront Retail Facilities of Chapter 17.180, Marijuana Facilities Operation and Location of Title 17, Zoning, the Desert Hot Springs Municipal Code in order to update regulations for hours of operation. The ordinance will return on May 16th for second reading and adoption.
Thank you very much. Item 9 was the applicant had pulled their appeal, so that item is not going to be heard tonight. Move back to the administrative calendar. Item number 10, professional services agreement with Bob Murray and Associates. This is a contract with a firm, Bob Murray and Associates. This contract is to search for a city manager, do a city manager search. As we announced, Doria Wilms has stepped up as the interim city manager, and the city manager took early retirement. In that case, the city council discussed the options that we had, and we chose to interview multiple firms that do searches. And we are agreeing to hire with an agreement that if approved tonight would be Bob Murray and Associates. Valerie Phillips is one of the principals of the company, and she will be the principal for our search. And with that said, we'll take any public comments on this item before moving to council discussion. I see nobody coming forth in public comments. We'll now move to council discussion. Is there any discussion on this?
I don't know. All I see is pending with Roger.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Are you pending right
I got
now?
nothing on my screen again, so I don't
We
know.
gotta abandon this one, huh?
I don't know what I'm doing
Warning it's
wrong.
not working.
What I'm doing wrong here. So
I don't think it's you.
Well, hearing nothing, Mr. Mayor, I'll move that we approve the professional service agreement with Bob Murray and Associates.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any other comments? All right, we'll move to roll call.
Councilmember Betts?
Aye.
Councilmember Gardner?
Aye.
Councilmember Pye?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez?
Aye.
And Mayor Mattis?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Move to item 11, which is the resolution of intent for placing Desert Valley Disposal annual billing for services of residential properties on the county tax rolls, fiscal year 2023-24. Mr. Buckheim?
Yes, thank you. So Desert Valley Disposal is the current solid waste services provider for the city of Desert Hot Springs through a franchise services agreement. That franchise agreement calls for the direct billing for residential solid waste services as a levy on the county property tax bill. In accordance with Health and Safety Code Section 5470, the City Council needs to declare its intention to levy assessments for the solid waste services and conduct a public hearing. The public hearing will be scheduled for June 6, 2023, and a notice of the public hearing will be published in accordance with applicable laws. All costs for the placement on the billing for the county tax rolls will be absorbed by Desert Valley Disposal. Currently, the levy is estimated at about 7,765 accounts at $494.06 each, with a total amount of $3,836,350 for fiscal year 23-24. And we have Chris Cunningham with Desert Valley Disposal here to also answer any questions.
Thank you for the report. We'll move to public comments at this time. Is there anybody who would like to make any public comments? I see nobody coming forth. Council comments? Did you push the queue again? Try it. I want to see if it works. I don't know why it's not working. But anyways, go on.
Thanks. So this was considerable discussion the last time. I think there was several categories of on here. It wasn't just, I mean, it was the new state program. That's going to show an increase. But what we're doing here is just initiating the process. The final approval is coming back. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, this is just to declare your intent to put it on the county tax rolls.
So this is giving everybody the notice that we're going to do this. They'll all have a chance to come back here and state their case of whether they agree with the fees or anything else like that, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Then I'll let that go for the next meeting. Thank you.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to hear from Mr. Cunningham if he can give us a presentation.
Chris was like, yeah, I could do it. Chris is really good at public speaking. He probably throw something together in 2 minutes for you. Anything? No? Mr. Gardner, I'm sorry, go ahead. Mr. Gardner, you have any questions before a motion's made?
No, nothing from me.
Ms. Pye?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution of the City Council declaring the intention to levy annual billing for the Desert Valley Disposal, Inc. solid waste refuse service for the residential properties on the county tax roll for the fiscal year 2023 through 24, and also approving the attachment F rate schedule for July 1, 2023 rate year, and setting a time and place for the public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Pye, seconded by Councilmember Gardner. Roll call, please. Sorry, yes, go ahead.
Just so this is not setting the rates. This is merely noticing that we're going to put this process in motion. I just want to be clear on that. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, good. Thank you. Aye.
Councilmember Betts, Councilmember Gardner,
Aye.
Councilmember Pye,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez,
Aye.
Mayor Mattis.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, we'll did item 12, move to item 13, proposed revision to section 13.1 of the City Council on Commission's meeting guidelines and procedures. This is a City Council subcommittee of Ms. Pye and Mr. Gardner who would like to speak to this. Mr. Gardner, she's given you the cue to go ahead, but you're muted.
Just had to get my unmute button working there. Okay, so this is bringing back from a discussion, I believe it was a month ago, when we updated our policies, and there were some clarifications that were requested by fellow council members on this particular policy, 13.1, 13.2, dealing with purchase of tickets to charitable events and being reimbursed, and reimbursing the city if the attendee didn't go. This is how Ms. Pye and I were able to address that, and it's before you all now to take a look at and let me think, adopt and we move on. But basically, it says that you can request a ticket, and if you don't attend the event or have an appropriate person attend in your stead, that being either a city staff person or an appointed commissioner who can represent the city, then you need to purchase a ticket in the future on your own and be reimbursed for that. So this just kind of clarifies a couple of things, and I hope adds a little bit more clarity to the questions that were raised by the council last month. Did I get it all, Jan?
Yes. And this one, we agreed.
I don't know if anybody's trying the Q thing, but it's not working on my end still, so, comments?
Yeah, I just have one comment. So who will define if this person is suitable for the city or not?
Like it says in the ordinance or in the policy, it would have to be a fellow council member, a city management staff person, or an appointed commissioner.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you had said when you were just explaining this, a charitable event. So this applies only to charitable functions, not other functions that might be part of city council duties?
Yeah, that's the intent of this, is only for when we go to events of that nature, such as something like where you're being, where you're having to go to an event as part of your official council duties, and it doesn't apply to that.
Okay, so this would be charitable events. Okay, so I just had some questions on this, and I sat on this policy committee years ago, and it's not easy to go through all this. I appreciate the work you're doing, but I do have some questions. What's the time frame for advance notice to the city manager of an inability to make a meeting? Would it be like an hour before, a day before, a week before? Does that spelled out in here?
That's not spelled out, but it's kind of common sense that you can let somebody know or find somebody to go in your stead. And then and also there is a provision in there as well that if, for instance, you're driving down the 10 and you get a flat tire and you can't make it, then that wouldn't apply in that case. Okay. So, but if you know in advance well enough to find somebody else to go or a fellow council member, then yes, then it would apply.
Okay, so I'm reading what we have here in the staff report. It says an attempt to find an alternate attendee. It doesn't list a time frame, which is why I was asking. And I can imagine somebody could be intending to go and, you know, an emergency comes along, maybe a water leak at their business or their house, and sorry, I'm up to my ankles in flooded house, I can't make it. Or if there's some other family emergency situation, is there anything in there that specifically addresses this? Because this sounds really, you know, it's short and brief, which is nice, but it's leaving out some details that could cause problems later. Or, for example, you know, some future council member has some disability that causes them to all of a sudden feel like, wow, something's just washed over me. I can't make this meeting. I was fully intending to go, but I just can't get there now. I'm not up to it. And no time to find anybody or round them up. Again, that's my question on the time frame. How does that work? The penalty seems kind of harsh, that from now on, forever forward, you're going to have this, a council member is going to have to pay out of their pocket to go attend an event. Apparently, I guess you mean that as a penalty. And
it's meant to be a deterrent, yes. And if you fail to attend or fail to try to find somebody and you don't have a legitimate emergency after contacting the city manager, then yes, in the future, that council member would have to pay and be reimbursed after showing proof that they attended the event.
Okay, well, I can imagine a situation. First off, I'm asking, the first question is what constitutes notice and when are there exceptions to this and how's that procedure worked out? But the thing is, I can imagine that going forward, you may have a council member who doesn't have the wherewithal financially to pay for these events and to be able to attend them. Not everything is inexpensive for these charitable events. And so that's going to put a real huge burden on them. If it's an innocent slip, there's no 3 strikes, there's no 2 strikes, this is just all or nothing. It just seems to me,
that council member would have to have a discussion with the city manager, and if the city manager had felt that it was a legitimate excuse, then they would work something out.
So
but as you well know, you can't come up with with a policy that covers every single exception, every single possibility that is out there. This is a broad, general policy that is meant to address the most common things that happen.
Okay, well, I'm, I've been around here long enough to see times when this council wasn't getting along, and policies like this can end up being political fodder to, create rancor up here on the council, which is part of my questioning here, is that we really should be looking at this in a little more detail for some circumstances when a legitimate question comes up. So what you're saying is the city manager is the arbiter, or is this going to come to the council for some sort of a hearing? How do you envision that would work?
Excuse me, if I can, because we're working in circles. This is not meant to be detrimental. I've been on the council for a long time too, I get it. If you have a situation, you call the city manager. Either way.
What if you can't call the city manager?
May I finish?
Okay, fine, that's the question.
You call the city manager. You just found out that your car got a problem, and it's 5 minutes before. The city manager will not fault you for that. That's not under your control. That's common sense. It is not under your control. So if we put in there that the city manager is the arbitrator, would that help?
No, I would say it should be the council who would be the arbiter, not the city manager. I don't want to put the city manager in that position.
Okay, then fine. It's the city manager.
So I'm not disagreeing necessarily with the policy. I'm just asking for the clarification on these
And
points.
I'm trying to give you a clarification. You said you rather have the city council. I'm saying, okay.
Well, personally, I think the policy isn't necessary. I think there's a very rare occasion when something like this happens. It does happen, but I think, council members up here, they're responsible for their positions. The charitable contribution was made to the charitable event anyhow, which is the point of the charitable event. I'm sure they're happy to have us, gracing them with our presence, but that's not the importance of the event. Sometimes it is if there's like senior inspiration awards, but sometimes for a women's club or somebody like that, you just want to make the contribution to help them with their cause.
Let me tell you what happened with Big Hearts Award. I asked Emily, if you end up having any tickets left where it's going to be empty, let me know. There were 2 seats. So I asked my public safety person, he and his wife, to attend. That made it full. I felt as a charity that we need to make it full, not just throw money out. And there has been situations where people couldn't attend. This was asked before, and we explained to Mayor Pro Tem that he had a situation where he had to go to work that would not count. And so we explained that in the last situation that was about this. And so that's how this came up.
Okay. I don't want to belabor this anymore. I think it's not a necessary policy. I appreciate the work you guys are doing on this, trying to work through different situations. I don't think you've worked through all of it. I can see some situations that come up that this could be problematic, and maybe not now with this council, but in future councils, it could lead to, okay, we'll make sure this guy doesn't have to, has to pay for all his events going forward. And it's just going to dig in the craw of whoever gets subjected to this. So, yeah, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to call for the vote.
All right, I don't have a motion yet, but
I move that we adopt the policy as presented, 13.1.
do I have a second?
Second.
Did I take any public comments on this? See nobody coming? Yes, would you like to make a public comment?
I would.
Oh, you're gonna need to come up to the mic. You'll need to press that button. It'll turn out. It's already red. And you have 3 minutes.
Already read.
Can you state your name?
Yes, my name is Cheryl Gelling Nardell, and I'm a recent homeowner here in Desert Willows. I have some experience in nonprofit work, and so I'm listening to this, and I'm thinking, if there's a buddy system where someone has a partner who they share information with, especially with the Women's Club, with the Rotary, the empty seats are really a bad sign. It's bad politics. It's really, really bad PR from anyone looking at us as a charitable, as a city to spend time in. So my recommendation is that you have a buddy system where you have someone else to turn to, or a list of people you turn to when things like this happen.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak to this item? All right, we'll close the public comments on this. I do have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Betts?
No.
Councilmember Gardner?
Aye.
Councilmember Pai?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez?
Aye.
And Mayor Mattis?
Aye.
Motion passes with Councilmember Betts opposed.
Move to item number 14, which is the city council meeting schedule for summer winter 2023. Mr. Soriano.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So regular meetings of the City Council are held on the first and third Tuesday of each month, commencing at 6 p.m. To allow for summer and holiday-related absences, City Council meetings are canceled, also known as going dark, to allow for the City Council and staff to schedule vacations within these planned breaks. Therefore, staff proposes that the following dates go dark. So that would be the second meeting in July, which is July 18th, August 1st, August 15th. Then fast forward to December, second meeting in December, which is December 19th, and then the first meeting in January 2024, which is January 2nd. With that, staff recommends that the council approve the proposed city council meeting schedule for summer, winter 2023, and that concludes my staff report.
Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? See nobody coming forth. Close the item. Any discussion, or do I have a motion?
I just had a question. If we maybe just went dark for one whole month and coming back for the second meeting of August, would that make a big difference rather than coming up with a special meeting if we had to? Or is this something that staff really goes on vacation for,
I think that's what we discussed in the past, and that's the reason we did it this way, was this was the period of time that staff would be able to take their vacations and stuff. So it's kind of why we've been focused on this time period in the past, if that helps. Any other discussion? All right, roll call, please.
I need a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, should get a motion first. Anyone would like to make a motion?
I'll move adoption of the schedule.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr.
Move adoption of
Gardner.
the schedule.
I'm sorry?
Move adoption of the proposed schedule.
Thank you. Mr. Gardner moved, seconded by Mr. Betts. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Betts?
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner?
Aye.
Councilmember Pai?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez?
Aye.
Mayor Mattis?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 15, County Services Area 152, CSA 152, Budget and Proposed Assessments for Fiscal Year 2022-23, Assessments for Fiscal Years 2023, 24, 24, 25, and 25, 26. Mr. Haker.
Actually, be Jillian.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. County Service Area 152, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System Stormwater Program known as CSA 152, funds requirements for public agencies to implement and comply with the National Clean Water Act permit. The permit provisions implement policies such as storm drain maintenance, ordinance development and enforcement, water quality monitoring programs, compliance plan and development, and street sweeping. All properties within the city limits are assessed a CSA 152 fee based on their corresponding benefit assessment unit rate. The BAU rates are calculated based on the type of use of the property. The city can only utilize CSA 152 funds for implementing the NPDS program. The city's expenses include citywide catch basin cleanup, NPDS regional permit fees, NPDS state permit fee, and a portion of expenses for street sweeping services. Current rates in CSA 152 are $10 per BAU. The city currently collects approximately $146,400, which covers the $146,400 annual budget and expenses, resulting in a reserve of approximately $0. All additional NPDS expenses are paid through other sources, including the city's general fund. Staff is recommending that the City Council review the budget and assessment for County Service Area 152 and adopt a resolution of the City Council making its findings and establishing the rates for the County Service Area 152 to fund the city's National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System NPDS permit. That concludes my report.
we have any public comments on this item? You see nobody coming forth. We'll close public comments. I'll move to council member questions, comments, or motion.
I've got a question on
Please.
recusal. This is citywide, correct?
I believe that's what you said.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Okay, thank you. And it doesn't represent an increase?
No, it's at the maximum right now.
Well, you didn't say that, but okay.
Anyone else? I don't know if you're putting in the queue or not, so I'm just asking. I have no other questions, comments. Do I have a motion?
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gardner. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Betts?
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner?
Aye.
Councilmember Pai?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez?
Aye.
Mayor Mattis?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Move to item number 16. It's a resolution listing projects to be funded by Senate Bill 1 for fiscal year 23-24. Julie?
Hello again. In 2017, the governor signed Senate Bill 1, also known as SB 1, into law. SB 1 provides funds used to address road maintenance, rehabilitation, and critical safety needs. SB 1 utilizes the per-gallon fuel excise taxes, diesel fuel sales taxes, and vehicle registration fees. A percentage of this road maintenance and road rehabilitation, also known as RMRA funding, will be apportioned by a formula to eligible cities and counties. As part of the SB 1 requirements, cities are required to submit to the California Transportation Commission a list of projects proposed to be funded with these funds, and the projects must be included in a city budget that is adopted by the City Council at a regular public meeting. Additionally, cities must submit a resolution for the proposed project each fiscal year. Based on the latest State Department of Finance projections, the projected revenue for RMRA funds for fiscal year 23-24 for the City of Desert Hot Springs is $805,133. This projected revenue was obtained from the Local Streets and Roads Project fiscal year 23-24 revenues and is subject to change based on actual taxes received. Staff has reviewed all eligible projects per the SB 1 program requirements, including our proposed capital improvement program for fiscal year 23-24 and our current pavement management plan. And based on all the criteria, staff is recommending the following projects for fiscal year 23-24. ATV Cycle 4 Hacienda Avenue design for $94,940. Citywide annual slurry for $30,000. HSIP 9-1 Palm Drive safety improvements for $67,900. If approved, an estimated total of $192,840 will be funded through SB 1 funds. Staff's recommendation is to adopt resolution of the City Council listing projects to be funded in the fiscal year 23-24 by Senate Bill 1 Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Account funds with an estimated amount of $192,840. The staff report states an amount of $1,390,973. However, that is the total anticipated amount in the account for the next fiscal year, not the recommended RMAFAR funds for 23-24. The city has upcoming projects in the following fiscal years, including the Hacienda Spa Zone project, the Highway Safety Improvement Program Cycle 11 project, and planned resurfacing to Pearson Boulevard, and a majority of the saved SB 1 funds will be utilized for those projects in the upcoming years. That concludes my report, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody in the audience who'd like to make any public comments? See nobody coming forth. We'll close public comments and I'll entertain questions. Did anybody try the queue? Or no one has any questions? Still not coming up.
Yeah, I had a question. Good job, Jolene. Wow.
Oh, thanks.
Hard to keep up with. In going back to my meeting, my comments earlier about Rancho de Oro, the other question was brought up about the slurry project that we had, when it's due. When I had no clue, so I didn't have an answer for them to. But I just wanted to throw that in there before we voted on this project because I seen the slurry on here. Other than that, nothing else, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Betts?
Yeah, we're obviously going to need more funding than this. That's all the available funding at SB 1, correct?
Correct.
So we've got to do work. The slurry seal is something we're fortunate that we've had Southern California Edison come in and pick up a bunch of our streets at their expense, but we've got a bunch of them that are overdue, and the pavement's starting to degrade. Do we have Omnis coming in to give us the street assessment? I keep asking that, and I don't know when they're going to show up, but there's a process where they go by and grade all the streets scale of what, 100 is perfect, down to, what does it go down to? Failed is what, 50? Zero. And I don't know what percentage of streets we have, but at some point in time, this pavement's going to get to, you can't bring it back. Now you got to grind it. And that's the point of the slurry seal, is that saves us from doing that. So in here, it's not a lot of money for the slurry seal. How many, could you somewhere get a report on this, maybe at the next city manager meeting, or a report? How many streets, or maybe as an agenda item, how many streets are covered by this, and how many now are left that haven't been done? It's a really, and I know out there in Rancho Del Oro, they're complaining because they're starting to get the cracks. It sounds like you're going on a railroad track, and that, if I understand correctly, is the pavement that's expanding and opening up that crack. It's not necessarily earth movement. And I know Ocotillo's got it real bad. So something's got to happen here quickly. So anyhow, yeah, that's a good question on the slurry seal. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments or questions?
With that, I'll move a resolution listing projects to be funded by Senate Bill 1 for fiscal year 2023-2024.
There's a motion, a second. Anyone else have any comments? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Betts?
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner?
Aye.
Councilmember Pai?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez?
Aye.
And Mayor Mattis?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
All the consent items were approved. Do we have anybody else that would like to make any public comments on general issues not on the agenda that did not get to speak at the beginning of the meeting? See nobody coming forth. Before adjournment, just want to make the announcement that our Planning Commission will meet on May 9th at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. Our Public Safety Commission will meet on May 11th, and the City Council will be back in regular session on May 16th. We are adjourned.